Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of What's Your Next? I'm Stacy Risa, your lifestyle matchmaker, here to help you do what you love what you do. Today, my guest is Erika Wasser. She is the co-founder and CEO of a company called Prospr, and that's Prospr. So you're going to have to buy your own vowel. Erika, welcome to the show.
Welcome to What's Your Next? This is the go-to podcast for aspiring business owners who want to get to the next level, escape the rat race, and give their middle finger to the corporate 9-to-5. If you want financial freedom, work-life balance, and the business of your dreams, you're in the right place. Dave and Stacy Risa, husband-wife franchising duo, openly share their successes, failures, and lessons learned in franchising, business ownership, and working with your spouse.
Yeah, we couldn't afford the E. But
yeah, couldn't afford the E. You guys are doing amazing things because I hear that Prospr is helping frontline teams with collaboration, scheduling, teamwork, all these important things, which we're going to dive into today. So I have to start by saying, I'm a marketer at heart. So most marketing I find out there is horrible. It doesn't grab attention. It's all spammy. But when I went to your website, I was so pleasantly delighted. I have to share the headline that's on there. It says, "How Teams Get Shift Done." Now, that does have an extra letter in it, an F, okay? We're going to be politically correct here, guys. How Teams Get Shift Done. Erika, what does this mean? What is Prospr? What are you guys doing to save the world?
So prior to starting Prospr, I was an operator. And so I knew how frustrating it was to walk my units and hear, well, I don't know, nobody told me to see Christmas signage up in February. To try to manage my people in a way that I could hold them accountable, right? And to run my units with any level of consistency and transparency. And using fragmented systems and carrier pigeons and text and bulletin boards and just like prayer wasn't working. And I think a lot of people get into people management businesses, whether they're a franchisor or franchisee or a corporate operator, and they go, oh, well, this is going to be fun, right? We're so excited about the service that we're providing, right? We're so excited about the burgers that we're selling or the Pilates class that we came up with that we forget how difficult it is to manage people and keep them all on the same page. And so that is what Prospr is here to do, essentially streamline the headache, streamline the chaos, make running a human-heavy operation as seamless as humanly possible with real tools that support managers to better manage, team members to be exemplary with ease, and for corporate and HQ to run a transparent organization that connects everybody from the tippy top to the newest employee at the bottom in one mobile app.
Amazing. All right. So this is a mobile app, and kudos to you. I always love talking to people who have entrepreneurial spirit because something kind of tells me Erika didn't wake up one day, get out of bed and say, you know what? I want to develop the best mobile app that's going to help employees run their frontline operations. So I want to hear more about the backstory. You shared like you had some challenges in the salon, but how did you become an entrepreneur? Share the journey with my audience.
So I've been entrepreneurial, honestly, my whole life. I found out very early that I'm just a terrible employee by way of being fired many, many times. And so after I was like 23, I started working for myself. And I think one of the things that really excites me about entrepreneurship is that I'm always looking for what is the most annoying thing to me right now, and can I solve it? Right. And so when I was working in salon concept, which was hair people in the gym, right? So I could get my blood on the gym. Like the thing that annoyed me the most at that moment in time is I would work out and then the next 2 hours of my day was ruined. Right. great, moved on from that, because once that concept scaled, the thing that was annoying to me the most was that nobody seemed to know what was going on. I was burning through middle management. My operators and my regionals and my district managers were just, the turnover was all to burnout. And my people on the ground weren't all on the same page. Units weren't moving consistently or people in the same direction. And the person who suffered the most was my customer, right? Because we can go in circles about all of the new widgets that make guest experience great. But the thing that has remained the same over time is that what makes guest experience great is well-informed and engaged teams. Right? And like, there's no silver bullet for that. There's no AI for that. There's no, right? Like really the answer is communication and culture.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I could add the third, which I think is the most important piece, accountability. And so those are the things that Prospr really supports in both existing, growing, and emerging businesses, to make day-to-day more productive.
Amazing. So what an incredible journey. And let's face it, an entrepreneur doesn't run a business. They actually solve problems, which is exactly what you said. You saw all these challenges, issues, problems in trying to run your business, and you're like, heck, I'm just going to solve it. And so you did, right? You created a tool and a solution. And look, everybody knows that the basis of a business is the people. You've got to have good employees, but ultimately, you don't have a business if you don't have customers, clients, patients, donors, whoever's giving you the money. So how are you and how is Prospr helping making that more synergistic? How is it creating a great customer experience?
So everybody has been at that store where you ask the front desk person a question and you can just tell that they don't know. And depending on your attitude, aka if you're me, you just go to in your head like, I don't have time for this. Right? Like I'm now annoyed because all I want to do is pay you and somehow you're making that difficult. Right? To the point where you're just like, forget it. I'm going to leave. Right? Everyone has had that customer service experience. And so how different is it when you ask a question to a frontline employee, a front desk person, be it or worker, and if they don't know, right, they know exactly where to go to find the information quickly, efficiently, and effectively. Now, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, wow, this is an operation that runs. And so it's not only about ease of distribution of information, because that's one time, right? Like you might have a new promo that came out 3 weeks ago, you distributed it 3 weeks ago, but now me, the customer, is walking in and asking today.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's not only the ease of distribution, but the ease of recall and finding information. Right? In many of the businesses that we go into, one of the chief complaints is that teams don't know where to find anything. Because some stuff was in a text and some stuff was in an email and some stuff's on a board in the back. And some stuff got tribal knowledge just to the manager who this employee doesn't know. Right? And so it's really about creating a platform that supports everybody in the organization with democratized information.
Amazing. So I'm curious to hear a real life example, because as I understand, you've worked with all types of businesses, for-profit, nonprofit, franchises, franchisors. What's your best case study that you want to share today?
So one of my favorites, well, honestly, there's a few, but there's one that's sticking out to me right now only because we were working with them yesterday. A very large scale supermarket chain. They've got 170 some odd stores, maybe 200 stores.
Mm-hmm.
They had one store that since 1991, which 30 years, right, has always run about $40,000 over budget.
Ooh.
Has been in the bottom of 10% of their stores in terms of damages, declines, expired items.
Right.
Yes,
Expired.
I think expired. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Right. Like they were just, especially in grocery when they're dealing with so many perishable items, one of the big holes in their bottom line is like if people are on top of moving things to the front of the store or moving things to by the cash register or moving things to the front of the aisle, the business has to toss them, right? You've already paid for the inventory. Now it's expired. I can no longer sell it. Which small tip, never buy anything from the front of an aisle. But, right. But they had no way to communicate from the night managers to the morning managers to what people had to do in the day. Putting Prospr in place just through the ticketing and communication system alone, this specific store is now $30,000 below budget and top 10%.
Amazing.
Right?
One
Like
simple tool
one simple tool.
made everything so much more efficient and effective.
Yeah. Right. So they're saving about, they believe they're saving thousands of dollars per store per month, and items that are now not being tossed into the back because there's a communication channel, there's a thread, the manager can see everything, the regional can see everything, everybody can manage everything no matter where they are. And at the scale that they are, they're going to save about $2 million this year.
Oh my gosh.
And they are paying us significantly less than that.
Amazing.
So there's real ROI in bringing culture and communication to the forefront.
And your tool and technology is helping to kind of synergize that and make it so much more efficient. I love it because, you know, a lot of my audience are people who are thinking about going into business ownership. A lot of them tend to lean towards franchises. And many of them, they want to own the business, but they don't want to work in the business. So they know like they're going to put a manager in place. And as they grow and scale, some of the terms you just used, like regional manager, divisional manager. And many times my candidates are afraid to move forward because they're concerned about, well, how do I manage all this people part of the business? So talk about that. Like, what challenges have you seen that a lot of your clients deal with? And then how might Prospr help with that to make somebody feel comfortable moving forward in business?
Totally. So we work with a lot of franchisors as well as individualized franchisees. I would say that of the franchisees that we work with versus franchisor, a lot of people get into being a franchisee, A, because they loved the concept as a customer and they thought it would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Or B, right, they're in a different part of their life and they want to be business owners, but they don't want to be in the business, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
Prospr is how they will be able to manage everything under their purview in one consolidated place, right? And give them the tools to be as hands-on or hands-off, but still see everything, right? So I would say that my advice to them would be whatever tool you use, whatever system or tech stack you put together, you want to be able to hold people accountable, right? If you are creating systems, when you say, oh, I sent a giant group text, well, great. What are you going to do when you walk in and none of the things are done? And someone goes, well, I don't know. I didn't see it. Right? How are you going to answer? I don't know. Nobody told me, because that is the number one excuse. And sometimes it's not an excuse. Sometimes it's real, right? Now, I don't know. Nobody told me. Having an answer for that in place when you start your business is going to create a culture of accountability from day one, right? And that breeds exemplary behavior.
Where were you, I'll say 19 years ago, and 19 years ago, because that was the day that I invested in my franchise. So I own a coffee smoothie Hawaiian themed franchise. And, you know, we've had brick and mortar locations, and then we morphed into other models such as food trucks and catering. It's very people-based. And so all these challenges along the way of scheduling and keeping things organized and multitasking and all these events, where were you 19 years ago?
Oh God, I think it was maybe like my bat mitzvah.
Right.
That's where I was. I was practicing for my Haftorah.
Well, we might have been there catering your event, but I can see how you've taken all of the challenges that a lot of businesses and business owners deal with on the employee side, and you're actually making both sides happy. There's like a happy synergy there. Employees are happy because
Mhm.
They feel organized, there's systems, there's
Yeah.
processes and controls, and the owner or the manager is now not juggling 400 different tools in different places, and none of it works and talks to each other. Oh my gosh.
That's exactly right. And when you bring somebody into an organization that has systems in place, the employee immediately levels up day one, right? Because they go, oh, wait a second. This is a place that has tools. This is a place that's going to support me.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get more from those people. One of the things that I think was really interesting that a Dunkin' franchisee shared with us, they've got about 100 locations. They said that putting Prospr into their onboarding slides immediately changed the behavior from people. They went, oh, wow, there's a way for me to communicate. They care about my work-life balance. There's a way for me to turn notifications off when I'm not on a shift. And they saw an immediate change in the behavior from new hires based on just having systems in place that signaled to the employee, oh, okay, this is not going to be a kangaroo court. Right, which admittedly my business was, which is to build this.
Yeah. Yeah. So Erika, you have seen so many different businesses, probably in all different stages of their growth phases. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you're seeing out there today that companies might be able to fix and do better?
Stop texting your employees. You're going to get sued. You're going to have to pay out.
Wait, say that again?
Stop texting your employees.
Stop texting your employees. Okay.
The number one cause of frivolous lawsuits are old random text messages that, were fine when it was fine and then not fine when you no longer have a relationship with that person. Something as simple as, hey, I don't feel well. Do you still need me? Yes, please come into work. Right? In context, totally fine. Out of context can be completely misconstrued. And even nonsense lawsuits will cost you a ton of headache and about 10 to 15 grand.
Easily, yeah.
Right? Pay me instead significantly less.
Right.
But like own your company communication, whether it's Prospr, whether it's whatever else there is. You want to own your company communication. You want to make sure that whatever communication tool that you are using when an employee is termed, it's a clean break from the company so that they don't have all of your proprietary data and proprietary information and all of your other employees' phone numbers. And frankly, you don't want them to have your phone number. I mean, you run a human heavy business. How many times did you get called at 2:00 in the morning, 5 a.m., Christmas Day? Right? So you really want to own that data and own that relationship. The second piece is that I think you need to be realistic about what your expectations are in relationship to what you are willing to pay for that role. What we find a lot is that in specifically frontline work, right? And there's nothing wrong with a minimum wage job. I was running a minimum wage business. But that means you can't expect them to do a 75-point checklist every day that they come in. Right? So that you have to match your expectations. And if you do want them to do a 75-point checklist, that's fine. The business needs what it needs. You need to give them tools that are going to be automated, that will remind them, that will support them, that will make that easy. That will work with them through their day to get the things that you need done. But this assumption that we want to pay $15 an hour, we want to train them for a week, we want them to retain everything that they learned in that week for the lifetime of their employment with no support, and then bottleneck one manager who's maybe $3 more and at 6 months older with the responsibility to corral everybody under them and not have a dumpster fire is insane.
Yeah. Are you finding that your tool is helping with employee retention? Because when you look at the cost, like you were just talking about, not only hiring, but onboarding, right? Nobody comes in on day one is at 100%. The expense and investment to onboard somebody, I would imagine if you could just keep somebody on longer for a short period, it's just a turnaround. in many different ways. Could you elaborate on that?
We help employees ramp faster because we guide them through an automated and digital onboarding so that they can access information and give you the forms that they need all through their phone or from the desktop. So you can collect, right? You're not herding cats trying to get the copy of someone's ID. We give them access to all of their training information that they have access to in perpetuity, not just the time that they're trained, right? Because you train them, great. Then maybe in 6 months, the thing that they actually need comes up. They need to be able to find that information again. In terms of retention, what we found is that when you include people in culture and you actually have an inclusive culture from a communication standpoint, people stay significantly longer. So in Prospr, when you invite somebody in, you tell us which location they work, what role do they do. Automatically, they're put into the right chat group. They're put into the right bulletins groups, right? You don't have to secondarily manage that. We'll do that for you. You just tell us who they are, where they work. And now they are amongst a group of people where they see chatter, they feel that community. And so now they're much more apt to actually show up for the first shift, which is a big first fallout. And two, now everybody knows they're coming because your manager or your shift lead can say, hey guys, welcome Stacy. Stacy comes to us from blah, 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 blah. And so now on Stacy's first day, it's much warmer than, hi, I'm Stacy and I have no idea where I'm supposed to park and I have no idea where I'm supposed to go.
Right.
And that first impression catapults the relationship for as long as they're employed.
Why do you think it is that so many companies are not using a tool like Prospr today? You just hear these horror stories all over the news and the internet, and even employees going on and lambasting. Like, what's going on in the world today?
Listen, I don't know that we have time for that. Right? I think that there is partially negative bias when you have such high turnover populations where people say, well, why am I going to invest in someone that's going to leave me in 60, 90 days, right? And really what you're investing in is for them not to leave you in 60 to 90 days. I think that there is a ethos amongst operators that managing people is hard, and it always has to be hard because it always has been hard. And that the job of the operator is essentially to go on goose chases, right? I think if you talk to most people managers, they would tell you they're an adult babysitter.
Yeah.
And there is this, nostalgia of, well, I pull my hair out because that's how it's always been and that's how it has to be. And it's like, well, I just got my dog groomed from my phone. So I don't know that anything has to be the way it's always been. But getting people to move up.
It's 12:30.
Sorry, that's my computer. It tells me. But getting people to accept that it doesn't have to be hard, and that doesn't mean less job security.
Yeah.
It actually means you can do more of the things that you love so that you can love what you do.
Yeah.
Right. Think about what you would do with your time if you weren't spending 7 hours phone treeing people to try to pick up a shift.
Right.
What might the bottom line of that business really look like if your heavier payroll spends were able to actually grow the business instead of firefight all day? But there's job security in firefighting.
Not if it burns down.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I think that's one of the challenges. When you say to an operator, like, hey, how do you spend your time? Well, scheduling and shift filling and trying to communicate and then following up to see who got it and then actually making sure they did understand it versus just doing all of the things I just mentioned in about 35 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Erika, then where should somebody start? Somebody who has taken many of the lessons that you've shared with us today, all of these challenges, realizing that there might be some bottlenecks in their organization. What's a simple first step they could take today?
Book a demo.
Yeah, exactly.
No, very seriously, look into something like Prospr. But if you wanted to just take a first small step, I would say really audit, how are you managing one group of people, right? Because at the end of the day, you only have one frontline team. And so if you're managing them via text, email, maybe another tool, an LMS system, a payroll system, an HRIS, a ticketing, right? If you're managing them 17 different ways, really think about ways that you can consolidate that, because it's too much for any one person to manage, and it's too much to hold frontline workers accountable to. Right?
It's
Really,
a lot of alphabet soup there. Yeah.
really think about, how do you answer, and what is your manager's answer for "I don't know, nobody told me." And if you don't have systems in place for managers to answer or to hold people accountable, then you're literally setting them up for failure, because what are they? Insubordination, you know how to manage. Nobody told me, I can't tell you what you knew. But if I provide you the tools, and I give you, for example, when you walk in, here's the morning checklist, and it's automated, and we can track it, and we can see who did what. And here's the shifts, and we know the timestamp that these got sent, that you saw them. And here's the communication that is in our library, and here's the date and time that it was signed, and here's where you can go to find it when you need it in the future. You know how to manage in that world. You're giving your middle managers and your unit managers a fighting chance to actually operate a successful business that's not, so objective.
Wow. Erika, kudos to you. Kudos for seeing this challenge that I'm sure every business owner deals with. I know I deal and dealt with it in my business. Employees are like thanking you for making life better. You're making the world a happier place. How can people get in touch with you and learn more about all the great things that you're doing, and especially Prospr?
Absolutely. So we're on Instagram, Prospr.work, Prospr.work. We're online at Prospr.work. So again, Prospr.work. You can book a demo. We have a chat bot. You can talk to our team at any time. And honestly, we even welcome questions, right? You might be in a state where you're not ready for Prospr, but you say, hey, I'm struggling with XYZ. What do you think about this? I would say, and I'm sure you know this in your own business, you end up doing a lot of business consulting in the discovery and sales process. So please do reach out. Like, I'm happy to help you personally. You can find me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. And one thing to keep in mind is Prospr is fully modular, excuse me. And so if you say, hey, I might not be ready for a full suite, but I do want a company-owned communication tool. Could I just use chat? Absolutely. Right? Or we really have a hole in the bucket on retail walking out, or maintenance issues not being solved fast enough, and we just want to use the ticketing platform. No problem. Right? Not all businesses need all things. And so don't feel intimidated by the breadth of things that we do. You can solve little problems one at a time, but solving them at least in an environment like Prospr is where you can grow with it, versus having to then go find yet another point solution would be my advice.
Awesome. Erika, thank you so much. Kudos to you for this amazing product and tool that you've created. Thank you for coming on and sharing with my audience your expertise, your brilliance. One more question for you that I got to know, since the name of this podcast is What's Your Next? What is your next, Erika?
Oh, world domination.
Oh, okay.
All employees on Prospr.
World domination. Watch out, everybody. Somehow I think Erika's entrepreneurial spirit, there is a next. So make sure that you follow her on all the social platforms she just shared, so you can be a part of that journey. And certainly reach out to learn more about Prospr. I know Erika would be more than happy to help you dive into your situation and come up with some solutions that can be a good fit.
Absolutely. And any friend of Stacy's is a friend of ours. So definitely mention that you heard about us here, and we'll try to do something nice for you.
Absolutely. Erika, thank you again. Thank you for being part of the What's Your Next podcast. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. If you liked, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow Erika on her journey as she helps people get shift done. Make it a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.